It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Welcome. Friend of mine, Mr. Rodney Baker is with us. Rodney, thanks for coming back on the program, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Harrell. How's the Ivory Palace doing up there?
The Ivory Palace, the Marble Palace. I'm telling you, I think they firmly occupy the moral low ground, is what we're saying now with all this corruption that we're seeing every single day. And so, folks, I just want to say the reason we're having Mr. Baker on is this is Small Business Spotlight. We want to highlight his small business. Arkansas small business is the backbone of our economy, and yet our government doesn't seem to treat us that way oftentimes. Isn't that right, Rodney Baker?
That's absolutely correct. The reason I call it the Ivory Palace because marble's legal and ivory isn't.
Oh my goodness, I like it. I love your skepticism. That is a healthy American attitude, my friend.
And it's not just me. It's a lot of people in small business, and I call small business. You're 10 to 20 employees. I'm talking about small, but the little town I live in, there's more independently owned small business than there is big business. I live in a very small town. I cover a big area, but I live in a small town, and if you took a census of the small business owners just in this little town, there's more independent small business than there is any kind of franchise or anything like that. Everything in this little town is small business except for one plant that is owned by a big, like your big conglomerate. But everything in this town is small business. So you're talking about in the town, entire town.
You talking about Atkins? Is that that's where you are, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. This is Atkins.
Yeah. I was just talking about how we were going over kind of what happens last hour to some of our legislators when they get elected. Then in December they have an orientation, and while they're down to the Marble, if you're a new office holder, you go down to the Marble Palace, and then you meet all the lobbyists, and they're basically giving you all these meals for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And how that how that's what changes them, and we talk about the pace and everything else, and how a lot of people just kind of go along to get along because they meet these guys, they form relationships with them, and they don't want to rock the boat. And I'm saying, but small business owners, Rodney, my hypothesis is they're not as easy to persuade because they might have had an idea about a business. They might have gone to the bank to take out a loan, and they might have gotten laughed at, but that didn't stop them. They kept going. They found a way to provide that service or that product that they want to provide. They found a way to do what they wanted to do, even though you had people telling them you can't do that. And that's why I think most of your small business owners who become these politicians are able to stand up to the lobbyists and not get pushed around.
Yeah, I agree. I think most of the people that I know that have gone into public service, gone into, your politician, you could say, they always go into it with usually they're on fire. They want to make a change. They've got all these good intentions. But then when they get up there, they just kind of get overwhelmed. And sadly to say, you look at what's going on with Donald Trump. If he wasn't a billionaire that could withstand the abuse that he's been going through, you take someone like me, just a small businessman, I fund a campaign and I run for office and say I do get elected. But even though I'm elected, that income still hadn't come in yet, and I'm still living off what my business is doing. Well, if you get up there and get around the lobbyists and that corrupt group up there, it's like this. Either you go along or we'll crush you. And I'm not a Donald Trump, so I couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't afford to ruin my family. And that, I think so many of us people go into public service with good intentions, and then when they jump on that corrupt train, it's like either you go the direction we're going, or if you want to jump off, it's going to destroy you when you jump off.
Yeah.
And we just need to get more people with good intentions, with a lot more backbone. And, if you can get that little group up there, that little coup of conservative congressmen, your senators, everybody up there, if you get that little coup where everybody has somebody to lean on and somebody to back them up, then we can start pushing forward.
Yeah.
But just one here, one there, one here, one there, it's like we're not making any difference.
Yeah.
They get up there, we elect these people, and you're all behind them. Yeah. And then once they get elected, they get up there. I think they get overwhelmed, and it becomes, well, do I do what's best for my constituents, or do I save my family?
Yeah.
And my livelihood? That's what's so bad about it.
Yeah.
That's just what drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm. It really is. The people, if you ever think about running for office, you need to think about, what you're going to do when they threaten your income or whatever. How dependent are you going to be psychologically to, everybody wants to provide for their family. What are you willing to do? Are you willing to compromise your principles to, quote, provide for your family? And you look at what's happened with, that you talk about one or two here or there, it's just not going to cut it. We're not making any progress. And, we're down two. Specifically, the governor targeted Brian King, and he ran an ethics bill, Rodney, that would have exposed all the corruption that we're seeing slowly be walked out of all these politicians, stealing from us and making money by passing bills. And then Linda Collins Smith, she had an ethics bill to try to stop attorneys from representing their clients, and she got targeted by ASA and lost. They lost their primary because a sitting governor, endorsed these other candidates. And these two candidates these two senators happen to be the ones that were trying to expose all the corruption down there, and that is very disturbing to me.
Yeah, it frustrates me. You see, I've seen on the news where people storm the White House. It definitely makes you want to get a group together and go storm the.
Yeah, well, we don't want to do that.
Oh no, I mean,
storm might not be the right word there.
Yeah, I mean, you'd see a bunch of four-wheelers and mullets showing up at the Capitol. It's frustrating for a small business, man. I own two small businesses, and I'm currently in the process of helping my daughter, which is a UCA graduate twice now. She's got her master's degree. She's wanting to open a cheer and dance and tumbling gym. And so I've purchased a building, been remodeling it for her to do this. And it's been hard for her to get this going just because of you've got liabilities, you've got insurances, you've got state approvals that you got to come down and check the facilities, and you got to get through all the state hoops and ladders before you can even start the business. And then once you do, you got constant inspection and regulations, and it makes it hard. Me personally, I'm not trying to do anything wrong. I'm not trying to take any shortcut. I just wish they could simplify things. Why does everything have to be so hard?
Well, yeah, let's talk about that.
Everything costs so much.
Yeah, let's talk about your business, Baker Roofing Company. You can find it at bakerroofinginc.com. That's bakerroofinginc.com. You guys have been in business, the Arkansas River Valley, serving the River Valley since 1979. And we've had you on before, Rodney, talking about how things could be simplified. So, just tell us real quick, in the roofing industry. I know you say you don't want to cut any corners, obviously, not when you're building people's roofs or putting roofs on. But what do you think could be done differently?
Well, for one, they could simplify the bid process when it comes to commercial work. Especially if it's going to be government or federally funded, just because they're using federal funds, it costs 3 to 4 times to get the job done when you're doing the exact same amount. It's just there's so many hands in the cookie jar that everybody wants to get their fair share of it, and it's people that don't know anything about the job. They're not showing up at the job. They're not doing anything. You're just getting all these different regulators and different people that have to have their approval to do something when it could be approved by the facility, say a school district county judge or a mayor. As long, I've bid projects for mayors and county judges and local business owners that have franchises, well, like a Kentucky Fried Chicken. But anytime you get the government involved, or if you're a bigger business, there's so many regulations and so many people that have to get involved in it. It's people that aren't doing any labor. They're not putting on any roofing products. All they are is somebody sitting in an office saying, well, I think we should do it like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they might be 15 states away. I deal with that constantly. You'll bid a job for $10,000, and then when they get the government involved, it'll cost $70,000, and you're not doing any more work. Only work you're doing to justify that other $60,000 is paperwork.
Wow.
And it's ridiculous. And then in the long term, somebody's got to pay that money back. When the job gets done and it costs $60,000 and you could have done it for $10,000, somebody's getting hooked for $50,000 over what the cost of the job was.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost it's a theft. I mean, you're certainly just kind of lying about what this labor really costs in a way, and you've got a system set up. You've got a system set up where everything's more expensive and it's unethical or immoral, but there's no one person responsible for it, Rodney. So how do you pin it on somebody? How do you say, because no one person is responsible, we get this cabal of an organization or a process, I mean, but everything's kind of compartmentalized.
Yeah, if you try to follow up on something, you get 15 different voicemails and you can't ever get a hold of anybody. And then you got to press 1 for English and 2 for Spanish.
Yeah.
So you don't ever know what you're going to get. And then if you do get a reply, I've been dealing with the issue I'll stay off the radio about because I might get a little rude with it. I've been dealing with an issue over a project that I had done, and it went into bankruptcy. Well, the insurance paid for the project. I saw the check. It came from the insurance company. Well, since the homeowner had filed bankruptcy, the check goes to the bankruptcy court.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been 6 months ago.
I bet that's been a nightmare.
Hadn't got paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Arkansas small business, backbone of the country, backbone of the state. We're talking Rodney Baker. It's his if you want to get a quote, you can call 479-747-6636. Go to bakerroofinginc.com. Last question, Rodney. How are things for your business in Donald Trump's America?
I have no complaints at all. I've been busier in the last, it's like this. I stay busy year-round. I'm very blessed. God takes care of me. But so far, things have been good. If just having to deal with, the government, your state regulations, federal regulations. If it wasn't for that, and I honestly, I see things getting a little better. I see things softening up a little bit.
Yeah.
But as people, I deal with different people every day, and what drives me mad is to watch TV and see on the news and how the news portrays the world being ticked off because of all these bad things Donald Trump's doing or what his administration's doing. And the only place you hear that is if you watch TV, because I'm out meeting people. I meet 25, 30 people a day, just different people. And when I meet them, they're not mad at him. They're griping about the media and griping about the line on the TV, and they're so sick of hearing about collusion. They don't even want to watch TV anymore. They have to watch Netflix. That way you pick what you watch.
Yeah.
And
who knows? You can't even watch Netflix now, right? Is what some people say because they've hired Susan Rice and they're going to do Obama shows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, they're going to go after that next, or they have. First they came for the media. Now they're going to come for me. Hey, Rodney, I appreciate it, sir, and I thank you so much for coming on for the Small Business Spotlight. And I know there's a bunch more folks out there like you doing this, and so I know what you say really resonates with them.
Yes, sir. Paul, I sure appreciate your time, and God bless America. God bless Arkansas.
All righty. Rodney Baker, everybody, with Baker Roofing.